Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now, ultimately, I guess we don't have a quorum, right?
We do not.
But we'll still go through business and conduct it accordingly.
Hopefully people roll in.
So Elliot, want to go off attendance? And Sonia,
Here,
Beacon Falls, Bethlehem,
Here.
Bristol is here, Cheshire,
Here.
Derby, Middlebury, Naugatuck, Oxford,
Here.
Plymouth, Prospect, Seymour,
Here.
Shelton, Southbury, Thomaston, Waterbury, Watertown,
Watertown's walking in.
no, Watertown's
Yep,
right here,
Watertown.
and Wolcott, Woodbury.
Naugatuck's joining there.
So we picked up 2 people.
So how many people do we have right now?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 people.
So it's not quite yet, but we're getting close.
So if you roll call public comment, any from the public want to make a general comment?
Ray, if I may, can we amend the agenda to add a talking point about community connectivity? I put it in the PowerPoint slide already. Perfect, thank you.
And then just moving on the regular agenda, approval of meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a
There's been a
second.
motion, made and seconded. Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passes. Then transportation planning, LOTSIP, a financial plan, update. Rich or Mark?
Yeah, Mark's tied up at a map for a meeting for the first part of today's meeting, so I'll take care of this. Just a quick update on LOTSIP as it stands right now. Right now, we've got a total of 41 projects in the program, just a little over 121 million. We are excited to see of these 13 projects that are currently under design, a good number of them are expected to go out to construction this summer, which it'll be fantastic. We're expecting to have awarded a total of 75 million by the end of this year. And if you go one more slide, just a quick update on our financial plan as it stands right now. We've cut this way back and the numbers are still very small. But what you're seeing is starting in fiscal 2023, so July 1st of 2022, up through the beginning of 2027. And so as of right now, on our old allocation of lots of funding, we still don't hit a deficit scenario. We are expecting that lots of allocations will go up this year. There's a couple of bills in front of the legislature right now talking about doing so. We don't know for sure yet how much, which is why we haven't amended this chart yet, but we're thinking somewhere between 1.5 to 2 million more in funds might be coming to us starting in the next year.
And what do we typically get?
It's 8.4 million is our annual allocation right now. So it could be a pretty significant bump if if it goes up the way we're expecting it to. One of the bills out there right now looks to bring it back in line with what the Surface Transportation Block Grant Program provides to the state, which would be a pretty sizable bump for us.
Okay. Questions or concerns? And then item number 2.2, approval of new LATSIP guidelines. Kevin?
Yes, thank you. Good morning. So we've talked about this in the past couple of meetings. I've had a couple of iterations on changing the WhatsApp guidelines. So here's the latest version for our conversations during the last meeting. So the big summary of changes is that we're going to change the maximum to a maximum of 2 projects based on 2 projects in construction, not overall. We added some supplemental information requirements that as TTAC would request it. We can add it with any new WhatsApp projects that are going to be trying to be approved. We added a statement, reaffirmed a statement saying that bridge projects for WhatsApp have a lower priority. And we also reaffirmed our stance with on sidewalk projects and reaffirmed our stance with that DOT. So the motion on the table is to approve the new WhatsApp guidelines. And I'll take any questions or any discussion.
I did have a chance, to review it. I think it's consistent with what was talked about, at the last, meeting. I, for one, is in, favor of it. I don't know if there's a motion to approve and second, and then, we can discuss it, or if there's any questions at this point.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thanks for putting that together. I appreciate it.
Certainly.
Just moving on, lots of projects, Chestnut Tree Hill Road, Oxford.
We received a new pre-application for a project in Oxford, Chestnut Tree Hill Road, and the estimated cost is 6.5 million. I'll just give you a little more information in the next couple slides. So it's a little hard to see, but the roadway, so the yellow line is the project, Route 67 is to the left and Route 42 kind of goes across. So this Chestnut Tree Hill Road kind of connects those two. So you probably get a lot of people that are taking that, basically as so that they don't have to go up and around. The project length is 6,870 feet, so a little over a mile. Next slide. This just gives you an idea. This is the current condition. It's narrow, obviously, wooded, and you kind of have a lot of earth embankment along, especially on one side, that will need quite a bit of earth excavation to widen that out. Next slide. Similarly, you got a lot of stone walls and trees, so it's going to be a bit of an expensive project to do the improvements. Next slide.
What's the existing roadway classification?
It is it's definitely a collector. I think it's a major collector.
I think so. It falls into the criteria that is approved for WhatsApp. It's not a
check it.
Yeah, it is a major collector.
Although, as you can see, the current ADT is 950 vehicles per day. And so the proposed improvements, they're gonna do a realignment of the intersection with Route 67 because that currently is on a skew, so they're gonna pull it in. The roadway width is narrow with no shoulders, it varies, so they're gonna widen and make it a consistent width. They're proposing 11-foot lanes and 2-foot shoulders. They're going to improve the geometry to improve the sight distance. Do some little work on the clear zone to remove any rock outcroppings or trees or walls that are very close to the edge of road. The existing stormwater system is insufficient, so that's going to be improved. Full depth reconstruction is proposed. The concept plan includes several retaining walls. And since this is only a pre-app, I'd like to have the designer, once the design is underway, to see if some of those retaining walls can be eliminated and just do some sloping instead. So again, it's 6.5 million, and
Yeah, so just to show, this is what that would look like if it were to fit into our financial plan. We're showing it right now going in July of 26 to construction, just because that's kind of where it fits right now, keeping us at a balanced program. Again, this chart shows that difference. You'll see it in that last step up there, but it does not show the potential or planned increase in lots of funding to the region.
Thank you. So the motion is to recommend allocation of lots of funds for the subject project.
Any questions or concerns, or is there a motion to put forth? Now, the cost estimate, where did that come from? Their consultant or?
Yeah, they have a consultant, I believe it's B&B Engineering.
B&B Engineering, they submitted us the pre-application with the preliminary cost estimate in there, or application estimate rather. And I believe they are on the call in this meeting, so if you have any questions for the designer as well.
I'll make a
can answer
motion. Make a motion to recommend the project.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The Vision Zero.
No, we
Oh,
skipped
the
that.
on-call
I'm
list.
sorry, engineering on-call list.
Yep.
From Karen.
So this is the on-call list that that I use quite a bit for the third-party reviews, but it's also open to the municipalities if, you know, everyone on the list is pre-qualified, so that if they want to skip that step for their own projects that fall under the, you know, transportation purview. Certainly, we welcome you guys to do that. And so we put out an RFQ. And we had 18 firms submit, so a big pool of people to choose from. And we had a committee, 3 TTAC members, Rich Donovan and myself. And we met, and these are the 9 firms that we selected: BL, Kleinfelder, Fuss O'Neill, Tybon, Freeman Companies, Luke's, WMC, AI Engineers, and Beta Group. So
And what did you just say? If one of those firms is selected to design it, there's not a third-party review? You didn't say that.
no. I use the on-call list to for the third-party review. So I just, when I want to do I need to get a third-party review done, I send everyone on that on-call list a request for proposals. They send me prices, and then generally we go with the low price for the third-party review. But municipalities are also able to choose from the list because everyone on the list has been pre-qualified. And so, for instance, I think, I know Naugatuck's done it, and I forget what other municipality, but for their lots of project, they sent out an RFP to municipalities. You guys did it too, I think, for Wolcott Street, right? And skipped the pre-qualification process. And I think, you know, we have some other work coming up within the region that we might be needing to hire from the list as well, so. This, I don't have to read this, but it just kind of goes through, and if anyone is interested, this just kind of covers all of the different areas that we were looking at when we pre-qualified. So, you know, obviously highway, traffic, pavement, hydrology, landscape architecture, bridge projects, spec packages, estimates, construction inspection, permitting, right of way, on and on. So if anyone is interested in utilizing the list, please reach out to us.
Okay.
Do we need a motion to approve the list? No, okay, it was just a FYI.
So, any questions? Okay, just moving on, Vision Zero.
Yeah, so we have a few things to talk about with Vision Zero. The first, I want to ask Jack from our staff to just give a quick update on some of the legislation that is moving through. Jack, are you still here?
I think he.
Everybody hear me?
Yes, there you go.
How's everyone's morning going? So quick update on Vision Zero. The Vision Zero bill is currently going through the legislature. The bill is 5917, and basically what it does is it takes a bunch of the recommendations the Vision Zero Council that was put together. It takes a bunch of the recommendations that they have, and it focuses on 4 main areas, which is engineering, enforcement, education, and equity. So instead of going through the whole bill, I'll just give you kind of a high level what it really we should worry about. So main things that it's going to require is a complete streets plan at the municipal level. Additionally, one of the things that we've paid attention to is Section 4, which allows DOT to require lands for trails. This would allow them to basically eminent domain area near trails that they feel the need for either bike trails or other trails that they use, walking trails, anything you can think of in that sense. Additionally, moving forward, it would require a helmet law for all motorcycle riders. It would also require, or is looking to implement red light cameras, and then it would also enact a prohibition on open alcohol containers. There's a bunch of other things as well in the bill. If there's any specific question, please feel free to reach out. But other than that, that is a high level summary of what is going on.
So if the legislation passes as is, then there's a requirement where DOT takes in consideration, what's the wording for complete streets?
Sure. So specifically, it would require a full complete streets plan at the municipal level. So the municipality would have to basically create a complete streets plan and then go ahead and approve it at the municipal level. At the moment, there is not an option to approve the regional plan, but we are hoping that throughout the legislation, there might be substitute language where if there is one approved at the COG level, the municipality will be able to approve that as their complete streets plan as well.
But would the DOT, when the DOT does a project in a municipality, will they be required to do complete streets components?
Yes, sir.
I mean, I would think if the municipality has a complete streets plan set up, then the DOT should have to conform to that, right?
Correct.
Yeah, the department is also supposed to be following complete streets elements in most of their projects already.
So I can definitely, speak, off, line if you think this is too narrow focused, to Bristol, if you think, but personally, once again, it's a region, maybe it affects other, communities. So Bristol on Riverside Avenue, which is a, Route, 72, we have funded ourselves a streetscape, improvements, and we're actually going for a SIF, grant. At the same time, DOT, and we have previously, talked to them, comes to us and says, if you do cover all the, engineering for the roadway improvements, we'll cover, construction costs. Well, what construction costs are you gonna cover? Our streetscape improvements? Well, a portion of them, but not all of them, like we won't do, brickwork, we will do, sidewalks. We may or may not do, we may, we'll definitely do bituminous curbing, but we probably wouldn't do, so now we're into this whole, it's positive, I'm not, saying it's negative, discussion with DOT. And your basic position is where is that line between a general, regular conventional, road construction, versus a streetscape improvements. Does the proposed legislation help Bristol or any other municipality in that discussion?
Can I speak to that for 1 second? I just know that, because I'm involved in Route 67 in Seymour and the same thing, Route 34 in Derby, that if the town has, if their roadway standards include granite curbing or brick, or most don't include brick, but granite curbing comes up all the time, then the DOT is obligated to include granite curbing in the project. So it might kind of flow the same way if you have this policy in place. I don't know.
Any other municipalities have any experience or dealing with such issue? Thanks for the information.
Yeah, and we'll follow that piece too, just as it moves through and as we hear more from the department about their interpretation of it. We will let you know if we hear any news on that piece.
And then implementation plan update, Rich?
Yes, yeah, so we, just as a quick reminder, back in September, the NVCOG Policy Board adopted a Vision Zero goal to eliminate traffic fatalities by 2060. The first piece of that goal was to develop a whole new series of reporting to highlight the areas in the region that are the most frequent sites of serious injuries or fatalities. So to do that on both a regional and a town by town level. And so we've been working on finalizing what that's going to look like. Elliot on our team has put together a new template for that reporting. And so we will be starting to fill that out with new information and sharing that with this committee as you're making decisions about projects, as well as with the towns independently, as we put together our next step, which will be taking those most dangerous locations in the region and developing concepts and prioritizing improvement projects.
Thank you. Any questions from the group? Let's moving on, safety subcommittee, Rich?
Yeah, so the other piece of the resolution that the NVCOG board adopted back in September was the creation of two working groups. One is going to be a working group of law enforcement and safety advocates here in the region, and the other is to set up a safety subcommittee of the TTAC. And so that can be made up either of members of TTAC who want to participate or appointed members of your staffs or municipal staff throughout the region. And so I just wanted to make a mention, we're going to be starting to do some of the groundwork to get this set up over the next couple of months and hope to have something in place by September to have a first safety subcommittee meeting. The goal of this committee is going to be to do a pre-review before things go to the full TTAC on what the safety implications of projects or policy changes might be.
Thank you. Any comments? Moving on then, community connectivity grant program.
Yes, and so this is just a quick reminder. If you haven't seen yet, the department released a press release a week ago or so. The community connectivity grant program is open again. Applications will be due in the summer this year. At the Bike and Ped Advisory Board meeting last week, the department was present and gave just a little bit more information. There's a good chance that applications for this year will be used for both this cycle and the next cycle of the program. And so any town that wants to get an application in should plan to do so this year. Our staff is around and available to assist with either project concept development or with writing the actual application if any of the towns would like that help. And I do see a question here. Is there a limit on how many grants you can have? So if you have existing CCGP grants awarded already, as long as the design was completed by the deadline in that agreement, you can open a new, or you can submit again for another project. I believe each town is only allowed to submit for one application per year or per cycle. And so that would include this year and possibly for the next cycle if it's one application in this cycle.
I can tell you that Bristol has received this grant twice. We completed the first, construction associated with the allocation, and it probably overlapped. So at one point, we probably had two active ones, and we plan on going, submitting again, which would mean that we would have two active grants if awarded.
Have you seen the notice for new solicitation yet directly?
I'm sorry, repeat that? What?
Have you seen the solicitation from Conduct for the next cycle?
Yes.
Because the problem in the past is sometimes DOT would send it to like the LTA. And that could be the chief of police and thing. So that's why we like to make it known to keep an eye out for it, because may not, their solicitation part may not always go to the right people.
So we did, I did receive it. I don't know if I received it through the mayor's office or through our grant administrators, but
But just a word of caution for anybody else that that may not always be the case in all towns. So just to, you know, if you haven't seen it, let us know and we'll get you the information.
Yeah, Elliot is actually going to be sending out a memo to all of the members of this committee as well as the NVCOG board later today.
I want to mention, I think the maximum project cost has gone up significantly, right, Rich? It was
Yes.
like, it used to be like 300,000, now it's 800,000?
Yeah, they went up to 800,000 this year. Presume, you know, they mentioned specifically they did it because of the rising cost of these projects. I don't know that 800,000 is going to build significantly more than the old 300,000 would, but it certainly gives you a lot more room to, you know, to match the current price of things.
and I guess we've always concentrated in the downtown area, but the community conductivity grant and ferry can be used anywhere within a municipality.
Yeah, as
Yes.
long as it's a defined safety type of an issue. Yeah, you don't want, they don't want to be building a sidewalk, let's say in a residential subdivision, it really doesn't have any problems. It really is intended to address a known or perceived safety issue
Or to close gaps
or
in the
close gaps,
sidewalk
yeah.
networks.
But the idea is to, you know, it sort of needs to be merit based.
Any questions for anybody in the group? Thanks for that information, and once again, if you can just continue to keep us advised so we can, you know, make a note of those dates and schedule accordingly.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, like I said, we'll send out a memo today and we'll mention it at the next couple of TTAC meetings as well.
Next item, Bridgeport, Stanford, CMP.
Yes, so we, as the board of the Central Naugatuck+Valley MPO, do not technically have to do this, but we did participate in preparing the Bridgeport Stanford urban area congestion management process. And so we do want to recommend to the CNV MPO board adoption of that process. A copy of it is available on our website with the rest of the material for our Metropolitan Transportation Plan. So the CMP is pretty straightforward. It uses a database approach from a federal data source to identify the most congested parts of the Bridgeport Stanford urban area. And this area, you know, for context, that extends up into Beacon Falls. It goes up into Southbury through Oxford, and so certainly does impact us here in the Central Naugatuck+Valley area. And so we looked at the most congested areas on the parts of the national highway system, and developed a series of strategies and projects to try and address some of that congestion. As part of our adoption of the Metropolitan Transportation Plan, we want to include that, or we do include this as an appendix to that document, but want to separately offer endorsement for it as part of the broader urban area.
In the value of this is an attachment to our transportation plan that ultimately the various communities, affected communities can use to seek funding.
Exactly. And so we don't have a CMP yet for the Waterbury area. We have, because we are not yet a TMA here, a transportation management area, we aren't required to do one. But we do have a plan to develop one in the next, starting in the work plan beginning July 1st.
Any questions on the proposed action? Is there a motion to approve with a second?
So move.
So moved by Watertown. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Endorsement of CONDOT air quality conformity determination.
Yes, so this is also part of the broader metropolitan transportation planning process. Out of the 8 MPOs across the state, we all prepared our list of priority projects and major highway projects highway and transit projects that went into our MTPs. These all got aggregated by the department and run through their air model or air quality modeling process. And so they release a full determination of air quality conformity. As a reminder, there are 3 non-attainment areas in Connecticut. The NVCOG fits into all 3 of them. And so all 3 of those areas require modeling to confirm that the transportation projects programmed don't force the transportation system to exceed its allowed limits for those pollutants. Sorry, there we go. The conformity report is also posted with our MTP materials on the NVCOG website. Over the course of the time period of the MTP, so now or 23 to 2050, it shows declines in all 3 major categories or both categories of pollutants across all 3 non-attainment areas, and shows that we are well within the allowed limits for those pollutants. Just one more quick note on it. We've had this posted and it's been in a public comment period since February 6th. We have not received any comments about air quality conformity to this point.
Any questions? Is there a motion to?
Motion.
Yeah, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Endorsement of the CNVMPO Metropolitan Transportation Plan.
Thank you. So we have been working on the Metropolitan Transportation Plan for several months now. And it was completed a couple of weeks ago. We sent it out to TTAC and we posted it to the public for comment. This is from 2023 to 2050. This is an overall planning vision for transportation within the entire CNV MPO region, with the Valley towns included for context. It goes through all sorts of transportation planning, all the way from aviation to freight to highways, railroads, and everything in between. It's a really comprehensive plan. If you haven't taken a look at it on our website or seen it in your notices, I encourage you to take a look. But first, I'd like to have an opportunity for anyone to provide comments on the Metropolitan Transportation Plan overall, if you have taken a look at the document.
Any comments on the plan? Anybody in the group?
Anyone from the public as well?
Make a motion.
There's a motion to recommend endorsement of the plan. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Now, with that said, the motion passes. Kevin, do you want to provide any more information on the plan, or are you all set? or-
No, I'm all set. Just if you haven't taken a look at it, please take a look. And obviously, if you have any other comments, you can still give them after today.
Yeah, just to expand on that just briefly, there are copies of the executive summary for this document on the table, and we are happy to print full copies of the document if you'd like, as well as additional copies of that summary. Our public comment period for the MTP closes at the CNV MPO board meeting on Friday, the 17th of March. And so we're happy to take any comments between now and then. And we definitely encourage you, please share this plan with your staff, with your communities. The more feedback we get on it, the better.
Okay, thank you. And TMA redestination.
Thank you. Yeah, Rich had mentioned, used the acronym TMA a couple of times, and the US DOT designates urban areas of over 200,000 population as what's called the transportation management area. It carries with it a different set of obligations, requirements, authorities, responsibilities than a smaller urban area. In the Waterbury UA, based on the 2020 census, is at 199,313 people. We're 687 people short. And We were hoping that Waterbury was gonna hit the threshold for 200,000. Now, just by comparison, our MPO, the CNV MPO is at 363,000 people. So our MPO actually has an urban population greater than 200,000, but the way the census designated urban areas, that they don't coincide.
What other communities besides Waterbury is part of Waterbury's UN?
Naugatuck, Beacon Falls, or parts of Beacon Falls, Watertown, Prospect. I don't know, they go through all the towns in our region, but basically most of our region is in the Waterbury urban area. Parts of it like Bristol and Thomaston are in the Hartford urban area. Cheshire is actually in the Haven urban area. Derby, Ansonia, Seymour, and Shelton are all in the Bridgeport, Stanford urban area. So that's our problem. Our region covers parts of 4 urban areas. So but they just look at the Waterbury UA. But it's pretty much the towns directly adjacent to the city of Waterbury. But surprisingly, parts of Southbury are in the Bridgeport, Stanford urban area. And why, even though it sits between, Hartford, Waterbury and Danbury. Parts of Middlebury are actually in Bridgeport, Stanford, parts of it are in the Waterbury urban area. Oxford, again, parts of it's in Bridgeport, Stanford, not our region. But most of it is water, because the Waterbury population is 114,000 plus or minus. Yeah. So again, most of it is the city of Waterbury. Anyhow, we do planning as if we were a large urban. As Rich mentioned, we're looking at a congestion management process. We already participate in that CMP for Hartford and Haven and Bridgeport. So doing it for Waterbury makes sense. Anyhow, we would like to have that ability to have more responsibility for programming transportation projects in our region, which we don't have currently as a small urban. The bottom line is MPOs can request a TMA status from USDOT. It's a simple process. It requires the MPO to make a request to the USDOT with concurrence from the governor of the state. So we're planning on doing that. The CNV board has endorsed that process, and so we should pursue it. So that's what we're doing. It's just for information to let the TTAC know that we are pursuing this if we get that so designated. So things won't change a whole lot, but one big thing is that some funding from federal highway administration comes almost directly to the MPO. We have a little bit more ability to select the projects we want to program. Right now, we can suggest projects at DOT and they can say, okay, fine, we'll do it, or no, we have other priorities. So that's what we want to try to go for. So that's basically it. We can answer any questions.
I don't know how to word this, but because a lot of that is good, and it seems like it opens, available, funding, and does it create another hurdle for the municipality to work in conjunction with NVCOG as a partner?
No, actually, it gives you municipalities a little bit more authority because now you're part of a larger urban, a TMA, and you have a little bit more say. TA, transportation alternative types projects. We as a TMA would have a little bit more ability to, this is a project we want to do, as opposed to DOC saying, well, we don't really like that one, we want to do this one over here. So in a way, it gives municipalities a little bit more ability to, dictate what they want to do. Yes, we have to do a few other things. There are a few additional federal requirements that a TMA has to follow. But like I said, we already sort of do that. We already do a TMA. Certification reviews. We have to undertake a review from the USDOT every 4 years. Again, not a big issue because we already participate in the certification reviews of Hartford, Bridgeport, and Haven. So you're doing one for Waterbury is not going to be any really that onerous. So we only see an upside to it, not really any downside. I think it just positions us a little bit better to be able to control what we want to program in terms of federal aid dollars.
Anybody have any comments or questions? No, you looking for a motion or is this just information?
Just information. The board has already endorsed the concept, and we'll be going to DOT to, you know, work with them on it.
Environmental planning, Aaron, a grant program update?
Yeah, good morning. So today is the deadline for the DEP Rec Trails program round. COG staff's been busy assisting members with applications, and NVCOG is going to be very well represented this round. We prepared support letters for projects in 11 NVCOG communities. So it's going to be very competitive. You know, I think they're probably going to have a record number of applications come in this year. And I think that, you know, sort of speaks to the backlog of these types of projects and that there isn't that much funding for planning for trails out there. And this being, you know, one of the more well-funded rounds, or actually the most well-funded round in the program's history. You know, I think that's why we're seeing so many applications. The governor's proposed $5 million annually over the next 2 years in his budget. So we'll keep an eye on that and see, you know, hopefully a more consistent funding for this program could help clear up that backlog and you know, fund more good trail projects. So good luck to all of you that put in applications, and we'll be looking forward to see who gets funded.
And do you know what the approximate time frame is for when the municipality would be notified whether they were successful or not?
We've been told May, but you know, it might be later on in the summer. if they're really
Mr. Chairman, through you, Mr. Chairman, just wanted to thank Aaron for all his hard work with respect to these applications. Thanks, Aaron, for doing a great job and doing it in a timely fashion.
You're very welcome.
I definitely agree with that. They Bristol's put one in, you know, today also, and certainly eight, you know, I think NVCOG and the staff.
Yeah, it's not too early to start thinking about the next round too. So if you have ideas, let me know. The more time, the better.
You know, and I appreciate everybody, just so the meetings don't run long, trying to move it along, but maybe, you know, Aaron, can you just give maybe a quick update, and I won't be offended if you don't include Bristol in it. What are the more interesting ones for a grant applications for recreational trails?
So there were a lot of Naugatuck River Greenway related applications. Watertown for design of their section between Echo Lake Road and Frostbridge Road and Branch Brook, and that will open up funding through LOTSIP actually for two projects that are already have pre-applications in. Let's see, Ansonia for design of a portion of the Naugatuck River Greenway that they just did a routing study for. Derby for repairs on a pedestrian bridge that is now almost 15 years old, I believe. So, you know, that's one of the more popular sections of Greenway in the state. So, you know, making sure that people can use it safely is definitely a big thing. Let's see.
Waterberries.
Waterbury's putting in an application for design of a spur trail off of the section of trail that they're building, that they're designing right now under the RAISE grant. So this would go through the Mad River corridor up to a park that the city's currently constructing, right through a really disadvantaged neighborhood. So it would provide access to that neighborhood, to the trail, and from the trail to that park. So a really good project. Down here, Seymour in 2013 did a downtown trail master plan that included like a loop trail that's part of the Naugatuck River Greenway, and they're looking to design parts of that. Thomaston's putting in for design of a section of Greenway between the piece that's going to be constructed under LOTSIP and a piece that may be constructed under a transportation alternatives grant. Wolcott is designing or is improving their Scoville loop trail. So making it a little bit more ADA accessible, improving some access to it, and looking at connections to other open space and trails in their town. I don't know if I missed any. Bristol is looking to design a section of trail between Rockwell Park and downtown, again through a very disadvantaged neighborhood, which would be sort of a showcase of downtown and a way for people to get into downtown and to Rockwell Park from downtown. That's a very exciting project as well. Naugatuck is designing a section of trail between their open section at Maple Street, I believe, at the Maple Street Bridge, down to a ballpark and field that may actually be redeveloped for residential uses. And that would likely connect to their downtown and to their train station as well. I'm not sure who I left out of there. Bethlehem is looking to do some improvements on trails at a couple of their open space properties, sort of a smaller project. And I think I got everybody there. So yeah, 11 projects. And NVCOG also supported the Trail Census and Trail Finder programs application to continue funding for those programs.
Okay, thanks for the update.
I'm sorry if I missed anyone.
MSW and recycling update.
Yeah, so COG staff's been neck deep in trash programs lately. The trash reduction pilots in Ansonia, Woodbury, and Seymour are now all underway. Those are funded through deep sustainable materials management grants. And our staff has been assisting those communities with outreach to residents. For household hazardous waste, we're planning the April event, which will take place at Middlebury's Shepherdson Community Center from 8 to 2 on Saturday, April 22nd. Flyers have been sent to towns, and A-frame sign inserts will be ordered shortly. The July event will be held at Quaker Farm School in Oxford on the 22nd, and we're working with Thomaston for a location for September 23rd in that town. We're also planning.
I was just going to say, like, from my perspective, we applied for that, pilot program. We applied for it late. We didn't get it, but we're very interested in Bristol on how the residents in the other communities, are, receiving and working with those, grants. So much so that maybe, if the group is open to it, or if VCOG is think it's a good idea, almost set up, whether it's a Zoom meeting or a roundtable, discussion. We were very apprehensive about how, Bristol residents, would be, received that pilot program, in which case we really like to hear from the communities that did get grants.
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea. There's definitely been a mixed reception by residents. Some of it well-founded, some of it, sort of,
I appreciate even that comment,
Yep.
but, and that kind of cuts even to the chase, that I would be looking for, at least from Bristol's perspective. We want the, untainted, version. We want the good, and the bad, so we can, make, informed, decision moving forward. Yeah.
Yeah, so Seymour and Woodbury just kicked off. So, maybe, Ansonia's been going for a little bit now. Maybe, once we have a little bit better information from those two towns, we can certainly arrange something, and I think that's a really good idea.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. So we're also planning 2023 composter and rain barrel sale. If you're interested in hosting a pickup event this year, please let me know as soon as possible. We're looking this year for a location that, in the past, we've had the distributor come up and distribute day of the event. But this year, they're making some changes, and so we're looking for a location now that we can have items delivered at the end of April. There'll be, probably 10 or so pallets of items, and then have them stored for maybe a week or so until we can arrange the pickup. So if any town has a location like that, it can be outdoors. It doesn't have to be covered or anything, but it has to be semi-secure so that these composter bins don't walk away in the middle of the night. But if anybody has a location like that, please let me know, and we can set something up. So there's a lot of uncertainty about the future of municipal solid waste management in Connecticut. I don't know if anybody's been following the legislature, but there's a bill there that's been receiving a lot of pushback from the towns. But there's a new opportunity now to investigate how we as a region might be able to gain some control over the situation. Connecticut DEP has announced a grant program to help municipalities and regional organizations evaluate interest in expanding existing or creating new regional waste authorities. And there's $1.5 million available. COG staff has been putting together a regional application that would fund a study to investigate the region's needs and how a new or expanded regional waste authority could help support municipal efforts. The deadline's March 30th. We'll be providing details to the municipalities as we develop the application, and we'll be looking for letters of support from all 19 of our members. So, we'll be reaching out for those soon. And we're also gonna, we're planning to discuss this a lot more in depth at the March NVCOG board meeting. So, some potential roles of a regional waste authority is, negotiating regional contracts, managing registration and fee collection on behalf of the towns, siting or expanding resource recovery facilities. Basically, so, we could have regional staff working with the towns as recycling coordinators where needed. So, I think there's a lot of benefit to a regional approach. So, this funding would allow us to really investigate all of that and come up with a plan forward to hopefully help the towns address some of the cost increases and other issues around waste. So happy to work with all of you soon on that.
So
we're
how
also,
would that, I'm sorry, how would that fit in with intertwine or be in conflict with like BRFOC communities?
so yeah, we're going to take, I'm assuming we would take all of that into account. So, one of the potential outcomes could be expanding that group. If they're interested in that, it could be setting up, a separate or combining two, or, joining with HRRA, or, we'd look at all of those options, and consider the costs and the benefits of all of them. And come up with what really makes the most sense. And we don't expect there to be one a one size fits all for all of our 19 towns. Some may remain with existing groups, but I think a well-funded sort of impartial look at all of the options could only benefit all of our communities.
So this is just a general, statement that even like a support letter, which I'm sure Bristol's not alone. We operate in a democracy with a small d, so like asking, the mayor to for a support letter, if it's due the end of March, it's already March 1st. So the sooner, even if you can just email me, informal, I can at least, bring it to the mayor's, attention, because, we have. That's something that we probably would talk about at our Board of Public Works meeting, or even a BRFOC, community. So, even getting a support letter doesn't happen in a vacuum.
I will, let me jump in on that, Aaron, if you don't mind. So Drew Backlick, I'm the Director of Municipal Affairs for COG. We're working that out amongst our staff. We think we probably are going to go directly to the CEOs with this, and it's probably going to be a joint signed letter by all the CEOs on behalf of the NVCOG board, because what we're looking to do is fairly innocuous. And if you watch what's going on with this legislation, this really, it's the governor's bill 6664. There's the haulers and deep basically on opposite sides of the fence fighting each other. There's a lot of different numbers out there in terms of how much tonnage there is, what the tip fees could be. So all we're looking to do is gather some information specific to our region. And then, there's no commitment that will be you guys want to put forward any commitment as to, hey, Bristol's going to do this or going to do that. It's basically for us to gather information, and it's more of a study than anything to find out the viability of a regional entity in our area. Now, whether or not Bristol or Plymouth or anybody else is a part of that entity, that would all come down the road. But it's pretty clear if you're watching any of these state, kind of the back and forth on the state level, that it's really like he said, she said right now. It's been very interesting, and I'd say arguably the most hot button issue aside from affordable housing, maybe that we're dealing with this session. So we're planning to get something out maybe as soon as the next day or two to the CEOs. They may or may not reach out to you guys for information on, hey, how do you feel about this before we sign on? And we may even encourage that, but that's kind of the general plan at this moment.
Okay. Yeah, once again, even from my, perspective is, certainly, I support it. I'm just saying there's a process at a municipality level, unless it goes through the NVCOG board,
That's part of the problem because of the time limit. And we were discussing this again internally yesterday. I understand that having, previously been in Derby, to get something on an agenda, to go through a meeting, to get support and making sure everybody's on the same board may be counterproductive for us at this point. It may just be, hey, NVCOG board as a whole supports this. We are all on board to learn more and study the municipal solid waste in our region. I think that's probably the easier bridge to cross with a short hop towards a deadline. So
okay. Anything else, Aaron?
That's all I have.
Any questions on any information presented by Aaron? Moving on, emergency management. Joanna? Not here.
Okay, I guess I don't personally have any updates on it, so I guess we can just keep moving along.
Okay. Next item is a motion to adjourn, unless there's any other items that anybody wants to bring forth among the group. Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Yes, thank you all.
Oh, how many people did we have at the end?